All right, hey guys, OFD checking in here, and today we're going to do a kind of a longer term review of the Phoibos Nebula. Now, I've had this watch for a couple of weeks, guys. If you guys watch the channel, you know it was 3 weeks ago that I did the unboxing of this watch. Actually went through quite a bit of the specs, but I've gotten to spend quite a bit of time with this watch on my wrist, and it's a spectacular timepiece. I actually took this watch on vacation here recently, got to spend some time on the beach up in Lake Tahoe, so lots of water activity. Actually did a lot of mountain biking up there, so it got worn quite a bit, and there's so many spectacular things about this watch. Now, I'm going to start off by telling you guys this is a sports watch. This falls into what you'd consider a sports watch category. It is a screw-down crown and case back, and it has 150 meters of water resistance. Now, it's not your true diver or anything like that, but 500 feet of water resistance is pretty spectacular. You do not have a timing bezel on this watch. It's a very clean, fixed bezel on the watch, but it is a great piece. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go through the specifications, which I did do in the unboxing, but I know a lot of people are here to listen to the specifications. So, side to side, this case, not including the crown, you're looking at a 40 millimeter case. You include the crown, it comes in at 43 to the outside of the crown. 46 lug tip to lug tip. And if you look at the lugs, they're very short on this watch, and it really fits the wrist well because of that. Very thin watch. It's run on the Miyota 9015, which is a thin movement, and that allows the watch to come in at 11 millimeters of thickness from the bulging case back, or the case back here, to the top of the sapphire crystal. You have a 20 millimeter lug opening on the watch. Also, the bracelet tapers down to 18 millimeters at the clasp assembly. So very beautiful watch. Now, these are gradient dials on here, and they're vertically brushed. So they're brushed up and down, and I'll try to catch a little bit of it here in the light, but it's a little bit hard. But what's interesting is the watch, these dials look very subdued sometimes under this light, but you get them outside, and it really kind of depends on the angle you catch the light at, but they can be very bright, or they can all of a sudden be kind of subdued when you're indoors, which for me, I kind of like that. And you also have this gradient look where it gets darker to the outside. It is a sandwich dial, so as I turn it to the side here, you can see the cutouts for the indices. So you have a loomed dial underneath this cutout dial, and you have this vintage looking superluminova being used on here. Very nicely done. I like the triangles at the 3, or at the 12, the 3, and the 9 position. You have a date functionality on the 9015 down here being employed at 6 o'clock. It's really neat with the Lume, and you'll see this in the Lume Shot, but the Lume, that little date window actually has Lume around it there. You can just see it on that dial underneath on that Lume dial. The Phoibos cracking up there just below 12 o'clock. I know that can be kind of controversial. I love it. I think it's cool. I've had Phoibos since they had Phoibos written up there on the dial, and I really like the Kraken. And then down here at the bottom, get a little closer for you guys to see, you can see the automatic, and get this thing to focus here. And go the 500 meters, or excuse me, the 500 feet or 150 meters, but just a really nice looking watch overall. The finish work on the case is nicely done. Really a lot of brushing done on this case with just some really nice polished highlights on the watch. So you can see you have a brushed bezel here on the watch. Very nice and subdued, but looks great up against that AR-coated sapphire crystal. And then coming down, you do have this nice polished chamfer that comes up all the way along the edge, and very nicely done, but not too overboard, and the rest of the case is brushed. The only other place you're going to see polishing is on these center links of this Jubilee bracelet. It is a screw link bracelet, very nicely done. Now, the screws were a little bit tight on this one. I would suggest using a little bit of heat when you guys are going to loosen these. I usually just get out a little torch, because they do use Loctite from the factory. I think it's the blue or the green Loctite, not the red stuff, but you might want to use a little heat on those screws to loosen them up. But very nice bracelet overall. 2 push button clasp assembly here, you can see. It's very nice. And on the back of the watch, obviously you have that Kraken logo, the sapphire crystal, all the information that you want to know about this watch. I do think it's great, and I mentioned it in the unboxing video that Phoibos has gone back to the Miyota movement. These 9015, the 9039s, these Miyota movements they're going to cost you a little bit more in the watch, but honestly, even a non-regulated 90 series or 9015, to me, they tend to run better than even a regulated NH35. I have no problem with the NH35 movement, but these are a true high beat movement, and they really just tend to run extremely well. One of the things I didn't show you here is the Phoibos also on the signed crown of the watch. But very nice. Now this, I have adjusted this to my 7-inch wrist, so we'll go ahead and throw it on my 7-inch wrist here in just a second. I had to take 4 links out, and you do have, I think it's 3 micro adjustments in the bracelet. So for my 7-inch wrist, I removed 4 links, and I've got the micro on the center there, and it fits me pretty good. So, and it's extremely comfortable. The watch slips under a cuff. When I was in Tahoe, it got chilly some evenings, so I actually wore, you know, a long sleeve shirt, and the watch being 11 millimeters thick, it slips right underneath a cuff of a shirt very, very nicely. And there's a few different colorways to choose from. So let's go ahead and throw this on my 7-inch wrist, and then make sure to stick around for that Lume Shot. All right, so like I said, the shortness of the lugs at 46 make this watch just sit right in the center of the wrist perfectly, honestly. 11 millimeters of thickness. I mean, you can look at it, and it's a super, super comfortable watch. The Jubilee bracelet, very flexible, fits very well. Nice signed clasp assembly here on the watch. Like I said, a number of different colorways are available for this watch. I'm going to leave link information down below in the description. Now, I do want to note that if you use code OFD10 at checkout at the Phoibos website, you can get a 10% discount on a new watch. One of the other things I want to show you guys real quick before we change out here or go to the Lume Shot is the blue on the Nebula. It is a different blue than we've seen in the past from Phoibos. This is their compressor diver. Now, forgive me for catching all this reflection in light. This is a domed sapphire a little bit, or slightly domed. But it is a darker blue on the compressor diver, so definitely different. And I like to show these two together just to show how many different styles are available from Phoibos watch out there. But very, very nice. I love these kind of baton style hands on this watch too. It looks really nice. And then you've got that loomed pip on that seconds hand sweeping around there. So let's go ahead and dim the lights and check out the Lume. Now, one thing I did notice, and I think it's because it's this vintage Lume, is this Lume doesn't seem to be as bright as your standard white Lume, and I think that's to be expected when you go to this vintage style of Lume. But it's nothing you're missing here. I mean, it's very, very bright, nice and green. You can see it looks like a BGW9 combination being used on these small outside indices, the double dot up there at the 12 o'clock position, and you can also see this loomed section around the date, which I think is pretty cool. But great, great looking watch, guys. Pricing information and links down below in the description so you can get over to the website and check these things out. So, all right, guys, you like the video, give me a thumbs up down there at the bottom. And if you've not subscribed to the OFD channel yet, please do. Please do. Thanks, guys.